Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Fate Remnant Collide. So yeah, let us begin. So we go back to a few minutes before, Rex can actually, before Rex can actually, make it there. As we currently see, a few, members of Team Ruby and also Team, Wrath basically going towards, to their teacher, aka, Rex's mother, aka, Good Witch. As one of them would say this. Good Witch said one of them, as she would say this. Oh, what is it? She would say, as one of them specifically, specifically, Tita would explain the whole situation currently, as she would say this. Oh, so that would explain the rest of like Team Cardinal being here and seeming to be, and I quote, scared shitless. She would say. As one of them would say this. So what should we do? She would say. Said one of the members of Team Wrath. Specifically, our currently cinnamon roll, or at least sort of cinnamon roll, aka, Tina, as she would say this. Oh, we just leave it to Rex, she would say. As one of them would say this. But he's even though he's still the so-called, the so-called, wait for a second. The so-called, invincible king, it doesn't mean that he's going to be, all by himself and basically fighting by himself, was said one of them. And she would say this. Well, there is one thing why why he's considered as the, as the prince of, like, or the king of, like, or at least the invincible king in general, she would say. As she would explain, it's because of his talents, she would say. As after saying that, all of them would say this. Talents, said one of them, like all of them, except for, well, a certain few. You know, specifically Yang and, well, Walter. As both of them would be silent, as she would say this. Yes, let's just say he's not really the normal type of boy, especially with his semblance, she would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, Pyra, as she would say this. What about his semblance? Was it his semblance the ability to basically manipulate dust? She would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, Weiss. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed like that, she would say. As Goodwitch would say this. Well, no. To say the least, his semblance is quite unique, but I won't be telling you that. After all, it would be sort of cheating thinking about it in the Vista Festival soon, she would say. As after saying that, one of them would say this. So, what should we do then? Said Walter. Not Walter. I meant, Harmony. As Walter would say this. Yeah, as team leader, I should be responsible for the rest of my teammates, especially my partner, he would say. As she would say this. Oh, don't worry. He'll be fine, she would say. As we go back to the present, as we currently see Rex. As Rex, after forming the magic circle, he would summon out his other servant, otherwise known as the Rider of Crimson. As we go back to Rex, Rex would basically bring out his weapon as well, as while he was basically trying to summon in his servant, aka well, the, the Rider of Crimson, he would start shooting off a bit of arrows towards, well, the Grim, as while he was trying to summon her. As one of them would say this, specifically Cardinal, or Carden. What in the, he would say, as he looked towards the direction of the arrows, as he would see Rex, as he's using these dust arrows to basically, make a little distraction for them. As he would say this, hey, Jean, as he would start looking towards Jean, as she would say this, yeah, she would say, as he would say this, behind me, he would say, as she would say this, oh, right, she would say, as she would start running away from the, from the area, as she would basically, you know, basically, just like, stands behind, Rex, as he would look towards Cardinal, or Carden, as he would realize that Carden seems to be covered in the same sap, or at least, in the forever fall, tree sap, as he would say this. I'm not even gonna ask what happened, he would say. As he would say this to Carden. Alright, Carden, he would say. As Carden would say this. Yeah, he would say. As he would say this. Get out of here, he would say. As he would say this. Right, he would say. As he would start leaving instantly, trying to get out of the situation. As we go back to Rex and Jane, as he would say this. Hey, Jane, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, she would say. As he would say this. Don't tell anybody about this, okay? As she would say this. What do you. As he would say this. Now, come forth. As he would say this. Rider of Crimson, he would say. As after the ritual was complete, Rex's servant would basically appear, being that of Rider of Crimson, as it would be revealed to be a woman wearing somewhat pirate-like attire, as she would be, wielding two flintlock-like pistols. She would also be wearing a typical pirate hat, as she would also have some sort of scar on her face. She would also have pinkish hair braided and also have bluish eyes, as she would say this. So, Master, what should I do with these scalawags? She would say, as he would say this. Blow them up sky high, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. "Hmm, very well, she would say. As she would bring up her two pistols, as she would start firing at one of the Grim as they would explode in an instant. As Jane would say this. When the. What are. Who is. As she would just be questioning it, as Rex would say this. "Hmm, this is my servant. As he would say this. Now, can you try and please minimize the damage, Drake? He would say, as she would say this. Oh, don't worry, Master. She would say, as she would jump up into the air, as she would start firing at more Grim, as the Grim would start targeting her instead of Rex and Jane. As Jane would say this, servant, as in, um, what? She would just be confused seeing this, as he would say this. I will explain later. Just trust me, okay? As she would say this. Oh, okay then, she would say. As Rex would say this. Oh, and by the way, please do not tell anybody about this. I don't really want anybody knowing of this, like, at all, he would say. As she would say this. Oh, okay, she would say. As we continue on with the battle, as she would start, shooting them down with relative ease. As she would start shooting them down, kicking them, while basically, cracking a few jokes. After a while, she would look over and would see the large, Ursa Major, which seems to have multiple, several like arms, or I guess you'd say legs at that point, because technically they're basically just have. Actually, let's just call it paws. Yeah, you would basically have multiple, paw-like limbs as you would start charging towards her, getting ready to strike her. As she would say this, take this, she would say. As she would say this, she would point her gun at the, large, almost mutated Ursa Major, saying, remember my name, she would say. Temeroso el Drago, she would say. And she would fire at the beast as she would start, cutting down all of its limbs, until it was nothing left but a body. As the Grim would start struggling to even try and bite her, as she would say this. How pitiful, she would say, as she would say this. Now, she would say, remember my name, the woman who felt the sun, she would say, as she would do one last shot at the beast, killing it in an instant. As she would look towards her master and, the girl with her master, as she would say this. So, master, she would say, as she would just, twirl her gun, as she would say this. Uh, the deed is done, she would say, as she would say this. Thank you, Drake, he would say. You may go back, he would say, as she would say this. Thank you. As after that, she would disappear. As before she can actually leave, she would say, oh, so, do you have anything like, I don't know, maybe like some rum? As he would say this. Ah, I'll give you later, okay? As she would say this. Thanks, she would say. And after that, she would disappear, going into her spirit form. After that, he would look towards Jane, as Jane would say this. What? Who? As he would say this. I'll tell you when we get back to, go back to Beacon, okay? And also, mind telling me what were you doing with, Mr. Douchebag over there? As he would look, as he would look over and would go look into the direction of where Cardin basically left. As she would say this. Um, uh, well, she would start twirling her fingers as she would explain the whole thing. As he would say this. Hmm, I see, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, that is why she would say. As he would say this. Yeah. Oh well, he would say. As she would say this. What? Are you not angry that I'm not even supposed to be here? She would say. As he would say this. Well, I could definitely admire your willingness to become a hunter, but you do need to get some training. As she would say this. Oh, right, she would say. As he would say this. Oh, don't worry about it. Besides, you'll get enough training here anyway. Just make sure to not to cause any trouble. And try not to, well, hook up with anybody like him again, he would say. As she would say this. Oh, right, she would say. And after that, they would start leaving the area. So, when he went back to, where, where, Cardin is and the rest of his team, one of them would say this, specifically Harmony. So, are you okay? She would say. As he would say this. What? Are you worried? He would say. And she would start to blush a little bit as she would say this. No, she would say. I'm just being a teammate or whatever, she would say. As she would basically put on her headphones as he would say this. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Besides, yeah, I'm pretty much well okay, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, Walter. Hmm. So it seems, Bon, he would say. As he would say this. Anyway, so did anything happen when I left, he would say? As one of them would say this. Well, it seems that Cardin decided to do this, she would say. Specifically, his mom. Showing off a large, box, which seems to resemble some sort of, of, artificial, what do you actually call it again? An artificial bee comb. As, after seeing it, he would say, is that wait, are those for death wasps, he would say? As she would say this. Yes, it seems so, she would say. As she would look at Cardin, as Cardin would say this. It wasn't our fault. It was hers, he would say. As he would say this, specifically Rex. You're lying, he would say. As everybody would start, looking at him, including Cardin, as he would say, oh, are you sure about that, he would say? As he would say this. Yes, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, one of Cardin's teammates. Bullshit! You can't, no, no, as he would start, stuttering a little bit, as he would say this. Oh, really, he would say, as he would grab something from his pocket. As, after grabbing it, he would, show off this footage. He would basically grab his, grab the thing, being that of a, of his scroll, as he would show off a video of Cardin and the rest of his team basically harassing Jane and telling her, thanks to help of there was cameras at the time, telling her to basically grab death wasps, or at least I think those are names, or was it death stingers or whatever they're called. They're basically wasp grim. So after the video was done, Good Witch would start looking at them as she would say this. So, you are planning to try and nearly kill both my son and the rest of the teammates of Jane, she would say. As one of them would say this. It was a as she would say this. Going to the wait for a second, going to the headmaster's office after we're done here, she would say. With a somewhat angry tone, as all of Team Cardinal were scared. As after saying that, she would start leaving with the rest of the class. As after that, they would start leaving to go back to Beacon. After that, they would basically arrive back home and all of them would just be tired. As we go back to Rex. As we go back to Rex, Rex is currently, changing his clothes as he would say this. That was one eventful day, he would say. As Walter would say this. Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, I'm just gonna go hit the hay, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, me too, he would say. After having dinner and taking a little nap, taking a little, shower, all of them would instantly fall to sleep. So yeah, I'm gonna be ending this episode right off here. So yeah, bye bye.